confirming if we're going to be in person, out of person, what would work best for everybody. So you may go ahead and access that. In the email link to this briefing, there is also a link to that online benefits booklet as well. Now, some important facts or dates rather that we always begin with. Your annual enrollment is currently ongoing. It does end on June 2nd. I'm going to be available across 3 days virtually. That way, at the end of a crazy year, whether it be SOLs, other things we have to do to tie everything up, Dr. Ryan and I felt it'd be best to be available virtually across 3 days. That way, hopefully it can fit your schedule if you wanted to see me, review any benefits, go over any changes or any discussions that we might need to have for you and your family. That being said, folks, the benefits effective date, or when these changes will take place, is on July 1st. And that also coincides with the start of the plan year, which runs that 12-month period all the way to June 30th. Now, today is just a kind of a general benefits briefing, highlight of all the benefits offered to you by the division. Comprehensive information can be found in your benefits booklet, which is online. And once again, that booklet is in that same link email that you did to access this session, so you may access it that way, okay? Now, next week, you will receive an email from your admin team to schedule your individual sessions should you want to, but we wanted to give you guys at least a week, a little bit longer, maybe to digest any information, review the benefits plans in your benefits booklet, talk to spouses, other family members, anybody you get advice from. That way, when we go ahead and get together, we can go ahead and just make some decisions for you all. Now, one of the easiest ways to enroll, you can make sure you see me virtually. We can go over any questions, review any concerns. If you're adding any benefits, you know exactly what they're doing, especially if you are having additional money taken out of your paycheck to have those benefits in place. There is always the self-enroll option, which you may access those instructions in your online benefits booklet on pages 5 and 6. Now, if you are adjusting any health insurance, you are adding family members, maybe you gave birth this past year, you got married, make sure you got to have your dependent's date of birth as well as their social security numbers to make sure they are added to those benefits. Now, if you are staying on the standard or premium plan and you use an FSA, those benefits do have to be re-enrolled in on an annual basis. Now, your benefits are always traditionally broken down into 2 basic categories. The top category are your pre-tax benefits. The great thing about enrolling in pre-tax benefits is these come out of our paycheck before Uncle Sam takes his cut, which saves you approximately 30% on any benefit enrolled in. Now, your second category are your post-tax benefits. The reason why you'd want to enroll in these benefits with post-tax dollars is something like disability or life insurance. Should those benefits ever have to be used, paid out to ourselves or our family members, those benefits paid out are tax-free. They do not count as income, and therefore, during the next year, next April, you're not hit with an unexpected tax burden. Now, we always start off with your health insurance plans. One thing I'm going to go over, folks, is there is no longer a high plan option. Now, that really only affects about 17% of employees in the entire division. So if you are not on that high plan, your health plans are largely going to stay exactly the same. Now, if you are on the high plan, you will be moved to the standard plan, okay? That is the most comparable benefit option that you had for your health insurance if you do not take any action during your annual enrollment. Now, you always have your choice premium plan, okay? One of the main differences between the premium plan and the standard plan is the copays. Primary care and specialists on the premium plan are both right at $30. Your emergency room is up to the deductible, and then it's 20% coinsurance after that. However, preventative care, as long as we are going in network, is covered at 100%. Now, the deductibles for the premium plan for the individual is right at $1,000 for the individual, $2,000 for the family, and that out-of-pocket maximum is capped at $3,500 and $7,000 respectively. Now, the standard option, if you were on that high plan, once again, and you do not take any action during this annual enrollment, it will be transferred over, as this is the most comparable plan to that plan that is no longer available. One of the big differences, we look at those copays. Primary care is a $20 copay, a specialist is $40. Whereas on the other plan, the premium plan, it's only a $30 for each. And the emergency room is a $100 copay, then 20% coinsurance. It does not contribute to that deductible, okay? Then your preventative care, once again, and across all plans, this is pretty standard, where 100% is covered as long as you are going to an in-network provider. Now, the deductible on that premium standard plan is a $0 for the individual as well as the family, with that $3,000 or $6,000 out-of-pocket maximum respectively, as long as, once again, we are going in-network. If you go out-of-network, you can see they are slightly higher. So please, if you are being recommended to go anywhere specific, make sure you always do your best to be a smart consumer for your health needs, and make sure that you are going to an in-network provider. Now, one thing, if you do elect to change your health plans this year, there is no change in the ID cards. They are generic. You will not receive new ones, okay? That will all be electronic for your health plan choices. Now, on the POS choice and the standard plans, you have a copay system for your prescriptions. They're largely based on whether or not they are generic, name brand, to how long. Is it a 3-month prescription, or is it just a monthly prescription that you pay, and it's at $10, $30, and $50 respectively. Now, with those two health insurance plans, you do have access to an FSA, or a flexible spending account. This is a government-sponsored program to help alleviate the high cost of those out-of-pocket medical expenses. And you can use them on deductibles, copays, your prescriptions to dental and vision needs like orthodontics, to glasses and contacts. Under the CARES Act that was passed a couple of years ago, it was expanded to include a lot of over-the-counter medications, to sunscreen, first aid kits, even feminine hygiene products as well. Now, the great thing about an FSA, or flexible spending account, is they're customizable. You select the dollar amount. At the beginning of the plan year, that entire dollar amount is readily available to you, so it doesn't matter when you have a root canal, when you're having that surgical procedure, or when you have to purchase your contacts. It is always front-loaded, then just taken out equally by pay period throughout the plan year. Now, the annual maximum did increase up to $2,850 this year, but please remember, no matter what amount you elect throughout the plan year, you do have that use it or lose it rule, meaning you have to exhaust it by June 30th. That being said, that should never scare anybody away from saving money, especially if they know that they are going to have those costs during that plan year. All that means is when we get together, when I'm available, we should have a realistic conversation about what you think you and your family need throughout the plan year. And it is always my advice to maybe be a little more conservative than aggressive with the amount we set aside. Now, also, please remember, this is a benefit you do have to actively re-enroll in. So please do not forget, if you currently did $1,000 for you, yourself, or your family, you need to actively re-enroll in that to have those same funds for next year. Now, regardless if you're on either health plan or on the new high deductible health plan, which we'll touch on in a moment, you are allowed to enroll in your dependent care FSA. Works the same basic way as the healthcare, setting aside tax-free money, saving you approximately 30%, but instead of on prescriptions and copays, this is typically for those of us with kids up to the age of 13 for things like before or after school care, summer day camps, daycare expenses. Why this is a significant benefit is you are allowed to set aside up to $5,000 of tax-free income per family, not per employee or per individual. That being said, you may not use the tax credit on your taxes though. However, that $5,000 benefit is almost double to what you may write off. That being said, this also does have that use it or lose it rule, and you do need to actively re-enroll in on an annual basis. Now, this is the new health plan that is being offered. It is called a high deductible health plan, okay, folks? Now, some folks like the security of having copays. They know exactly what they're going to pay when they go to doctor's visits or a specialist. However, if you are an individual who goes, well, I never go to the doctors, or I'm young, I don't have any issues, a high deductible health can be a very attractive option, as this is the free healthcare option now through the division. Okay, that way it can save you a lot of money. Make sure you review those rates in your booklet. Like I said, if you're that individual that goes, well, I never go to the doctors, or maybe I only go for my annuals, this can be an extremely attractive plan to save a lot of money throughout the year. And we'll also go over a couple of highlights that really do start to make this an attractive plan for a lot of folks across the division. Now, when you go see a doctor, everything contributes to the deductible. And after you hit that deductible, it is then 20% coinsurance until you hit your out-of-pocket maximum. Now, the emergency room is, once again, contributes directly to the deductible with that coinsurance. But just like the other benefits, the other two healthcare options that you have, when you go for your preventative care, it is 100% covered as long as it is in network. Now, the big difference is, right, between the standard, the premium plan, those $0 deductibles for the family or yourself, to the $1,000 or $2,000 deductible, respectively. On a high deductible health plan, it is $3,000 for the individual, $6,000 for the family, respectively, and that out-of-pocket maximum is right at $5,500 or $1,100 or $11,000 for the family. And the one thing is, those out-of-pocket maximums are the same regardless if you go in network or out of network, okay? So it may provide you with a lot more options when it comes to your healthcare needs. Now, when we talk about preventative services, regardless of which healthcare option you choose, they are covered at 100% as long as they are at an in-network provider. But please remember, if a physician is telling you to go get tested or have something done, does not automatically qualify it as a preventative service. A lot of it can be based on your gender, health status, as well as your age. If you ever get told to do something, oh, it's preventative, make sure you review that on your Anthem website to make sure that they are going to be covered at 100%. That being said, on that high deductible health plan, folks, everything, once again, this is a common theme with a high deductible health plan that is brand new, everything contributes directly to that deductible that you have. Once you reach that deductible, it is then based on that copay system, whether it be a generic, a name brand, to a 1 month to a 3 month supply. Now, always pharmacy tips, especially on that high deductible health plan, always ask your physician that is prescribing you, are there samples that I might have to make sure that these are the right prescriptions that I need for me or a family member? Ask about generics if possible, or coupons, and use that pricing tool so you know what you will be paying when you go to have those prescriptions filled. Now, one really cool feature about a high deductible, and probably one of the most attractive things available to you, and a reason why a lot of folks choose to switch, is you have a health savings account. It is only available if you are on the high deductible health plan. What is great about a health savings account, and what really sets it apart from the flexible spending account that we already reviewed, when you use an FSA, those funds have to be exhausted every year. But with a high deductible health plan, these are funds that you own. Anything that the division contributes, which is $1,500 this year for an individual, or roughly half of that deductible taken care of right off of the bat, is your money. Whatever you contribute will not expire. And the idea behind a high deductible health plan with an HSA is to build a healthcare nest egg for ourselves for when we are in our 60s or 70s, because this money accrues throughout our lives, can possibly gain interest as well, along with what the division contributes. You are allowed to contribute more too. And when we have those higher medical costs, possibly when we are later on in life, maybe when we're retired, you now have this nest egg to reach to, so you're not exhausting your retirement funds or those pensions that we are hopefully receiving. Now, to be eligible for an HSA, this is extremely important that we pay attention to this. You have to be on a high deductible health plan, cannot be on Medicare, any other health insurance, TRICARE, or be double covered through any other providers. And you may not use an FSA. So if currently you want to get on the high deductible health plan because you want to use an HSA, but your spouse through their employer uses an FSA, you may not have both. That is incredibly important to remember. Now, the annual maximum that you are allowed to contribute if you're an individual is right at $3,650 or $7,300 if it's the family. And if you are over the age of 55, there is a $1,000 catch-up provision. Now, for this initial year, this initial offering, to really make sure folks feel comfortable transitioning to that high deductible health plan, the division is going to contribute $1,500 to that HSA, or if you're an individual on the plan, roughly 50% of that deductible will already be taken care of, which you may use towards doctor's visits, to your prescriptions, any other medical issues that you might have throughout the year, or dental or vision needs as well. So you also may contribute the difference, or roughly $2,150 if you're an individual, to that HSA to ensure that you're maximizing that benefit every year, and that we start accruing that and having it hopefully compound throughout our careers. Now, one great thing with having your healthcare through Aetna, you have your tools available to you, especially if you are transitioning to that high deductible health plan. You want to know that drug formulary if you are getting prescriptions to on those other plans where there were those major differences between in-network and out-of-network services, provider directories, as well as your EOBs. That way, if you are being recommended, you are having medical services done to you, you know exactly what those are. Now, dental, the plan has not changed. There's two options available. However, the one thing I always got to make sure that we go over is there is a slight rate increase. If you're an individual on your dental plans, it's about 50% approximately to $2 about for your family. So not a significant amount, but we always want to make sure if there is something, a difference to what we are paying, there is a slight rate increase. Always 100% of your diagnostic and preventative services are covered, ensuring you get your exams, your cleanings, and x-rays. Basic services are covered at 90%. Major services are covered at 60%, and then there's that 50% orthodontics benefit with a $1,250 yearly maximum. Now, those orthodontics benefit does have a lifetime maximum of $1,000 as well. That being said, folks, the second option, once again, always covers 100% of your diagnostic preventative services, ensuring, always making sure that there is no consternation. We don't have any apprehension about making sure that we get our cleanings, our exams, and x-rays every year. Now, basic services are covered at 80% versus 90%, and major services still are covered at 50%, and that orthodontics benefit is at 50%, and that annual maximum is the same as well as the orthodontics benefit is the exact same. Your vision through iMed has not changed. Every year you get your annual eye exam with that copay. Then, based on your prescription, your materials are covered, whether that be contacts, lenses to frames, but typically in lieu of that frames benefit is that contact lens benefit. You typically can only get one or the other throughout the plan year. So if that frames benefit is on your docket this year, you know you need to get new frames, please make sure you evaluate adding a little bit more money into your HSA or your FSA if you also know you purchase contacts throughout the year. Now, your supplemental benefits are still through Colonial Life. And the reason why the division as well as Pierce Group chooses to employ Colonial Life as these supplemental benefits providers is simply put, they're the best at what they do in the nation today. And there's really three things that set them apart from any other companies out there. Is first off, these pay in addition and regardless of any other benefits, insurance we might have in place. An example of that is if something ever happens on the job and you're receiving workman's comp, your disability benefit will be stacked right on top of it. It will not be negated because you're receiving something else. And should you ever have to make a claim, those benefits are paid direct to you. They don't go to the board office. They don't go to Aetna. They arrive at your doorstep when you need them most. And probably one of the most important things, these benefits are portable. Should you ever stop working for the division for any reason, you may take them with you. You simply pull them from a payroll deduction and put them on a bank draft. Now, one great thing with your Colonial benefits, they have a new policyholder portal. File your claims right online. You can view previous claims, claims in progress, get updates, and also, folks, is when you do your policyholder portal, you can actually set up direct deposit. So those wellness benefits, any other claims that need to be paid are expedited to you and arrive right into your bank account. So you're not being mailed a check, having to go to the bank, make sure you deposit those, okay, folks? So it really has streamlined a lot of the claims process for you all. Now, the first benefit we review is your medical bridge or your supplement. We've seen a lot of folks take advantage of this on the old health plans, as it's a comprehensive supplement to provide us lump sum benefits if we're ever hospitalized, to then surgical procedures, as well as diagnostic work from biopsies to CAT scans and MRIs. There's also a medical treatment package that is included, which covers you for emergency rooms, ambulatory services, to doctor's visits that'll help take care of any copays up to 5 times a year for the family coverage, 3 times as an individual. Now, if you are contemplating switching to that high deductible health plan, but you're like, man, I love that they're contributing $1,500 to my HSA, but the thing that really gives me a little apprehension about changing is that $3,000 deductible. And if I have a hospital stay, as a lot of us with the previous couple of years have realized that that's a very real experience. That being said, there's an HSA compatible version where if you're ever hospitalized over 20 hours, it'd pay you $1,500, which pairing that with your HSA, if you're hospitalized, you'll know you're automatically going to meet that deductible and really limit those out-of-pocket expenses. It then also has a daily benefit that'll build at $100 a day, as well as a $500 a day ICU option. So if you are contemplating switching from one of the standard health plans over to that high deductible health plan, this can be a great benefit to put in place, at least for the first several years, until you build up that HSA to cover that deductible. Now, disability, regardless of which health plan you cover, I think we've all realized and acknowledged there's nothing replacing being prepared for the unexpected. And I think we can all agree that one of the best ways to be prepared is always make sure we get a paycheck. It's one of the most comprehensive benefits offered, as it covers you on and off the job 24/7, 365 days a year. It's designed to cover 66% of your income. That way, in the event we ever get sick or we're injured, we know that we're not going into debt, rating savings, losing things we've worked incredibly hard for. And it does comply with the Virginia Childbirth Act. And if you are an individual that is currently thinking about family planning, or you might be over the next several years, make sure you see me when I'm available across those 3 days to make sure we set up a paid maternity leave for you. Now, the big thing when it comes to your disability is the advice I give to all of you was what was shared to me by my mentors, is if your paycheck plays an active role in your family's budget, or maybe you're that individual or your paycheck happens to be the budget, it's highly recommended you have some form of disability in place to make sure financially we're always protected and we can always meet our monthly obligations so we don't possibly lose things that we care deeply about. Now, if the disability is there for you and your financial well-being, the accident benefit is for your loved ones. If you have kids that are athletes, they're teen drivers, they're like my hyenas that are a tad accident prone, or you have the spouse that tends to act like a child, phenomenal benefit. It covers them 24/7 on and off the job, whether that be sports-related injuries, bee stings and dog bites that might need emergency treatment, to concussions, lacerations, to burns. And if you are transitioning to that high deductible health plan, the accident benefit can be one of those great things that really helps protect us against the unforeseen things that happen in our lives, especially protecting us against that deductible. That being said, right, we always talk about the unforeseen things. These are called accidents, not planables. These are things we don't plan on, and there's a great benefit to slide in place with that high deductible health plan. Using that money we're saving by not having to pay for any health plans, as that high deductible health plan is free and available to all employees across the division. But we've seen a large response for the medical bridge and the accident benefit to really supplement or protect us against that maybe liability or apprehension we have with that $3,000 deductible. That being said, folks, regardless of which health plan option you choose, I always recommend a cancer benefit, because this is the least predictable thing in our society today. And regardless of whether this is my 3rd time or my 10th time working with you all, it's almost something I can say with 100% confidence. All of us have been affected by cancer. whether it's been a friend, a coworker, a family member, and the statistics this day and age just simply don't get better, where it's half of all men and a third of all women will experience a diagnosis in our lifetime, and the cost of a cancer diagnosis is so much more than our medical expenses. This benefit is built to be that financial safety net that when a diagnosis occurs to yourself, a child, a spouse, it allows you to focus on what's most important in your lives, which is getting the treatment you deserve, not ever feeling like you ever have to settle for any treatment. That being said, the only thing I ever hope our family ever uses our cancer benefit for is that $100 wellness benefit. If you're sitting out there and you go, I already got a cancer benefit, I did that the first year. Please, if you're going for an annual, there's 24 different exams to choose from. Blood work, cholesterol, PAP, mammogram are probably the four most common. File it right online through that policyholder portal we reviewed earlier. They'll direct deposit $100, return a premium to you within 48 hours. If your spouse goes, that's another $100 to per person covered. Now, if there ever is a diagnosis, I hope you have your $10,000 initial diagnosis benefit built on that'll pay before you even make a claim for any medical treatment. Then based on your treatment program, the benefit takes off from there. Whether it be radiation and chemotherapy, medical imaging studies, experimental treatment, surgical procedures to reconstructive surgery. If they ever recommend we take one of our kids up to the Dana-Farber Clinic up in Boston, we will figure out a way to get there as a family. There is a transportation and lodging benefit built in, not just for the individual diagnosed, but also for a loved one to travel with them and give them the support they need while they undergo that treatment. Then your extended care benefits, such as hospice, are also built in, and I absolutely hope those are never needed. One thing, sadly, I think all of us have learned over the past year, year and a half, is simply because we are in the middle of a global pandemic, didn't make cancer disappear. What we've seen nationally is folks weren't able to go for their annuals over the past couple of years. We haven't gotten back into the swing of things. Unfortunately, didn't make cancer go away. What we're seeing now is it's now just being diagnosed at later stages. If you're that individual that's thought about this benefit, you've put it on the back burner, you said, well, I'm too young, maybe I'll think about it in a couple of years. Make sure you review this benefit, you get together, see me, learn how powerful it is for you and your family. As I always tell folks, I don't care where you have a cancer benefit this day and age, but make sure you have one. Now, the other side to that is your critical illness benefit. We often call it our heart plan. Covers catastrophic incidences, heart attack, stroke, renal failure, organ failure, coma, paralysis, blindness to sudden cardiac arrest. Hospitalizations due to infectious diseases as well as progressive diseases are now covered, like ALS to Alzheimer's and dementia. That being said, how this benefit works is it provides a lump sum of $10,000, $15,000, up to $25,000, whatever you elect during your time of enrollment. And if something catastrophic ever occurs, they cut that check directly to you. It is your discretion how those funds are used. Family support, medical expenses, lifestyle adjustments. And then a year later, you have a second event, or a year after that, a third event. The benefit will pay multiple times. And if something ever occurs, that benefit will be immediately passed along to your families. And if you're that individual that is thinking about, well, you know what, I never go to the doctors, but I want coverage for the catastrophic, I'm going to switch to that high deductible health plan, creating an umbrella between your cancer and critical illness plans can sometimes be irreplaceable to protect us against those major medical expenses that we might incur for the things in our lives. Now, life insurance. We've seen a huge response for this across the state because simply people realized about the fragility of life and the responsibilities we have to our family members to make sure that they're protected in the event we're not there. There's two types offered. There's term and whole. I like to call them whens and ifs. My first couple of years in the classroom, I was pretty much only concerned about the whens, when I'm not there. Well, when I was 24, I couldn't afford to burden my parents with final expenses. We just weren't financially blessed enough. But by actively being responsible and putting some life insurance in place, when I'm not there, hopefully not to about 95, I know that that burden won't fall on my family at that point either. That's whole life. It's permanent. It builds cash value. It's a guaranteed level premium. There's never going to be a surprise that you possibly owe more money. And you may put it on your spouse, kids, grandkids as well to lock in their rates as low as possible to save you the most amount of money across their lifetime as well. Now, several years ago, when I became a dad, I had to stop thinking about the whens. As a parent, I had a responsibility to take care of the ifs. If I'm not there next week, what does my wife need to raise the people I care most about in this universe? And that's term life, meant to be an astronomical benefit, help cover future housing needs, family's current standard of living, future educations. It's the most economical type of life insurance because it serves a period of need, 10 to 30 years. Now, I've got a 30-year term in place because I got 3 kids, 7 and under, and I hope I pay it every month over the next 30 years. And if quarantining has taught me anything, I hope they eventually move out of the house and are on their own. But if anything taught me over the last couple of years, that we have a responsibility to protect our families for the whens and ifs. Now, you always have your customized Pierce Group website available to you. You can find informational videos about any of the benefits there. If you lost your flex card, you need a replacement one, you can hop online, do the live chat feature, they will get one expedited to you. Or you're having an issue with dental. Why is this certain procedure not being covered to what I thought it was going to be? You need help filing claims. Our service center is there throughout the year to help you with those needs. That way you're not waiting till next May for me to come around and be available to you. They are there to make sure that you use and get the most out of the benefits that you enroll in. Now, I tried to keep this as short and as informative as possible, especially with the major changes that are coming to your health plans. And folks, please take the time to evaluate your healthcare needs, as that high deductible health plan can be an extremely attractive option for a lot of us, but it is not for all of us. These are individual plans that you'll need to make and decisions that you'll have to put in place to make sure that you are comfortable with your benefits for you and others you care about and other family members you might cover. But thank you so much for your time. I do truly appreciate it. Your school admin team next week will be sending out information about the 3 days that I will be available. That way you can have a week and a half to review the benefits booklet, any healthcare options or decisions you might need to make. That way when we get together, I can help you make any decisions or go over any pros and cons with you on an individual basis. But thank you so much. I do truly appreciate it. You all have an awesome day. Thank you so much for your time.